Poetry's place is to provide a way for humans to share our experiences, preserving emotions, ideas, and culture. It's able to give people a voice no matter their class, education, or experiences. Unlike prose, poetry has many layers of meaning woven into each decision. Every word of a well-written poem is intentional, each chosen deliberately to best convey a message in the little space allowed. Not only that, but the structure, pacing, and general construction all add to the meaning of the piece.
The Conqueror Worm by Edgar Allan Poe.
Lo, 'tis a gala night, within the lonesome latter years, an angel throng, bewinged bedight, in veils and drowned in tears, sit in a theatre to see a play of hopes and fears, while the orchestra breathes fitfully the music of the spheres. Mimes, in the form of God on high, mutter and mumble low, and hither and thither fly. Mere puppets they who come and go, at bidding of vast formless things, that shift the scenery to and fro, flapping from out their condor wings, invisible woe. That motley drama, oh be sure, it shall not be forgot, with its phantom chased for evermore by a crowd that sees it not, through a circle that ever returneth in to the self-same spot, and much of madness and more of sin, and horror the soul of the plot. But see, amid the mimic rout, a crawling shape intrude, a blood-red thing that writhes from out the scenic solitude. It writhes with mortal pangs, the mimes become its food, and seraphs sob at vermin fangs, its human gore imbued. Out are the lights, out all, and over each quivering form the curtain of funeral pall comes down with the rush of a storm, while the angels all pallid and wan, uprising, unveiling, affirm that the play is the tragedy man, and its hero the Conqueror Worm.
Edgar Allan Poe in the poem The Conqueror Worm suggests that war is the only benevolent force. He illustrates this point through metaphor of human existence playing out on a stage. Written in 1843, the preceding decade was marked by widespread colonization that led to wars of takeover and rebellion. One of the relevant social issues of the time was concern over the state of asylums and the increasing population enclosed within. This concern was often reflected in the literary styles of the time, dark romanticism and Gothic fiction. Dark romanticism is known for being irrational, grotesque, and demonic, while Gothic fiction uses death, terror, and psychological terrorism. Both of these styles were commonly used by Poe in many of his works, including The Conqueror Worm. Also relevant to our understanding of this poem is the background of Edgar Allan Poe. He was born in 1809 to a father who abandoned him and a mother who died when he was a baby. Poe was then taken in by couple John and Frances Allan. Frances died while Poe was away, then John disowned Poe, who was forced to join the army to pay for college. His time there was one of the few successful points in his career where he rose in the ranks and made many friends. In the end, he decided to quit to pursue writing, which he achieved while becoming an alcoholic and barely making enough to live. The constant death throughout Poe's life is reflected in the grim nature of his writings, which tend to muse about what happens after we're gone.
For the most part, this poem follows an A-B-A-B-C-B-C-B rhyme scheme, with the exception of the last paragraph, which breaks the established pattern and instead follows an A-B-A-B-C-D-C-D rhyme scheme. Constructed of 5 stanzas in octet form, each stanza can be seen to represent the 5 acts of a play as follows. The first stanza mimics exposition, explaining the setting is a play watched by angels. It is set during the lonesome latter years. We come to learn that this refers to years towards the end of the human race. Soon we discover the audience to be sorrowful angels engrossed in the story of the play. By having the angels simply be the audience, Poe shows how forces of good are powerless to interfere, they can only watch. The spheres they listen to are the planets, showing the angels are far from us. The second stanza is where we see our first major turning point, revealing the actors to be us humans. The phrase mimes in the form of God on high are an allusion to the Bible where humans are created in the form of God. The synonyms mutter and mumble reflect the insignificance of humanity's actions. Unknown forces move humans around and leave sadness in their wake. These can be interpreted as natural disasters mentioned to show how little control we have over our own lives. The third stanza is rising action, emphasizing the chaotic nature of the play itself. The humans work relentlessly to achieve their goals such as fame, popularity, or safety, all of which are phantoms, unattainable. Poe then introduces madness, sin, and horror as the ever present forces that guide all human decisions. This is the climax of the poem. The falling action comes in stanza 4. The worm enters the stage, gorily consuming the actors. This blood-red worm symbolizes war, a force which kills all, emphasized by Caesura and Epizeuxis in line 5. The angels can do nothing but look on at the violence stressed by Hyperbaton in the final line. In the 5th stanza, catastrophe occurs as predicted by Act 5 of a play. The anaphora of out shows that everyone is dead, the stage becomes a dark coffin, and the audience is in tears. The poem and play both resolve, declaring that humankind is a tragedy, with the only way to save them being war and mass extinction. The Conqueror Worm.
The pattern of stressed, unstressed syllables and beats per line is simply non-existent. It changes between lines and verses subtly, leaving the reader unsettled by the unpredictability. This mimics the weirdness and lack of pre-planned reason that Poe claims makes up all our lives. Another way Poe works to unsettle the reader is by, instead of using a tricolon, which has satisfying groups of 3, he cuts off all his lists at 2. This leaves the reader feeling unresolved because there is no satisfying resolution to life. These are emphasized through alliteration, such as bewinged bedight and mutter and mumble. The one case where Poe does resolve into a group of 3 is with his line about madness, sin, and horror. This shows these are the only 3 things in life which are constant and can be expected, but he switches the order, listing sin second instead of last, as someone would naturally say, which keeps even the constants in life unpredictable.